Now, about that time, we see that he is visited by King Agrippa, and this is, by the way, King Agrippa the second. And with King Agrippa is his sister, Bernice. Now, here's what's crazy about this. It's not stated in the text, but historians believe that Bernice, his sister, lived with him, and there is some speculation that they might have had an incestuous relationship, which would be totally against Roman law. Now, don't know if that's true or not. It's just what's out there. Just wanted to let you know. Rome had given Herod jurisdiction over the temple in Jerusalem. You see how far-reaching the government was here? Because you would think that, like in our system in America, the government is supposed to help support the church, not try to control the church, even though we do see instances of those attempts, right? So it was logical, since he had that jurisdiction, that Festus would share Paul's case with the king. And this young king, let me just tell you a little bit about him. He was a very youthful king. He would be the last in the Herodian dynasty, those Herods, right? He would be the last. Let me tell you who he was, what his lineage looks like. He was the great-grandson of the Herod who killed the Bethlehem babies when they were looking for Jesus. He was the son of the Herod who killed the apostle James, Jesus' brother. So you see what kind of family we're dealing with here. These are like mobsters in this scenario. So this isn't just some innocent king that's come along, that's entered into the storyline, and we're going to see how he plays along with Festus. The Herods were certainly demonically driven against God's people. And it begs to question whether or not we see this happening in other places where you can have demonic activity that filter down from generation to generation. There are some that believe this to be quite prominent and believe it to be quite significant. And so if you've ever heard the term generational curses, it fits underneath that umbrella. Now, there's a lot of debate on that subject, as you can imagine, where some believe it to be 100% demonic activity that takes place, while others believe there's no demonic activity at all, it's just the decisions people make. And then you have the third category, obviously, that believe that it could be a little bit of both. There is a disagreement, but I do believe that there is a supernatural element to all of it, especially when you look at pattern. Pattern tells you a lot, right? Sometimes we tend to size people up based on one or two things they do. But it's always best to follow the pattern before you make your assessment. Everyone makes mistakes every now and then. Some people divert from who they truly are. Once in a while, you might do something that is off color to your actual character. But if there is a pattern, and it's also important for us to look at it in ourselves. One of the most difficult things for a believer is to be honest about patterns in our lives that need to change. But I will tell you, it's one of the most sobering exercises that we can conduct, because the Holy Spirit is really good at helping us point those things out, right? And warning, it's going to be difficult, sometimes hard to swallow. Sometimes the information is going to come through people who love you, who are close to you. Sometimes it might be embarrassing because you're like, I'm working hard to not be that person or that Christian. And that's how you perceive me. But here's the exhortation. Receive it in love. Because here's the deal. Here's the truth. God does not have to bring correction to us at all. God could leave us stewing in our messes and allow us to self-destruct, right? But he is so gracious and he is so kind that even though it stings a little bit and even though it hurts, he says, I'm going to tell you the truth.